The US President Donald Trump apparently has signed a new executive order on immigration. A revised order has been expected from the White House since the earlier ban was blocked by a federal court. That previous order suspended the entire US refugee resettlement program, and in turn it blocked the citizens of 7 Muslim-majority nations from entering the United States. It even extended to affecting green card holders. It sparked confusion at airports as people with valid visas were turned away and mass protests in several countries. President Trump's administration argued that the ban was necessary to keep the United States safe from terrorism. Now, while the text of the new executive order hasn't been published yet, sources say Iraq has been left out of the list of countries whose citizens will be banned from the US. That includes citizens of Iran, Libya, Syria, Somalia, Sudan and Yemen. Let's get the latest details on this story. Daniel Rangers joins me now live from Washington, D.C. with more data on this story. Daniel, how does this revised ban differ from the highly criticised, very symbolic one that was implemented in late January?
Well, if you've got a visa or if you've got a green card, you can come into the country, no problems, no hassle, no ambiguity. If you want to apply for a visa very soon, you won't be able to do so. So there'll be a 90-day period where you won't be able to get any kind of visa. You won't be able to come to the United States. That 90-day period is designed to allow the administration to look at what they call extreme vetting. And as part of that, it won't just be sort of the US looking at their computer systems. It will be looking at the administrations of those impacted countries, which of course includes Sudan and Libya, and seeing if they are able to provide the kinds of information that will provide reassurance to the new Trump administration that they can be sure that there won't be the possibility of any terrorists coming into the country. A slight change on their refugee policy. They've still got this 120-day ban. But Syrians are not now subject to a ban indefinitely. So after that 120-day period, some Syrian refugees could be let into the country.
Indeed. Let's talk about what happened in January. The White House at the time didn't work with the State Department. They didn't work with the Department of Homeland Security to actually craft the language around the ban and how it would be implemented. Is this latest one any different?
Well, yes, very, very different. The whole atmosphere's changed, even to the extent to which Donald Trump didn't even allow television cameras or pull reporters in to show him signing the actual document, but instead sent out the heads of the Department of Homeland Security, the State Department and the Justice Department to issue statements saying that they were all on board. And there's also an implementation period over the next 2 weeks. So it shows you that the administration is starting, I guess, to become a little bit more normal, and that the reassurance has been given that there will be no more scenes of chaos at airports around the United States.
Indeed. Given the symbolic rollout, as you just mentioned, of the original travel ban, I mean, DOJ lawyers are even having problems defending it before Judge James Robart. We've also seen a surge in hate crimes and the likely trade disputes looming on the horizon. How have the tourism sector and even student travel to the United States, have they fallen? How have they responded to all this chaos?
Well, on the actual hard data, I think it's too early to say. There have been some reports from websites where they've recorded much lower levels of clicks and search terms to the United States, for example, from the UK, other countries, especially after the inauguration and especially after the travel ban. But having said that, Marriott hotels and Hilton hotels have both said they've seen no discernible change in the number of foreign visitors visiting their establishments so far. And on the student fronts, you know, there will obviously be an impact on student visas being issued from those Muslim majority countries, those 6 remaining Muslim majority countries minus Iraq now that will be impacted. You know, the US university sector is very competitive. Tourist numbers are likely still to be relatively strong, but we may see some impact.
Indeed. One last question for you, Daniel, and this essentially has to do with the politics around all of this. How likely is it that the noise that's been kicked up over the weekend by the president's latest unsubstantiated allegations of wiretapping may provide a bit of a convenient distraction from the rollout of this revised travel ban?
Well, this is a travel ban that's received considerable media attention, and much of it has been negative over the past few weeks for the Trump administration. That being said, you know, Trump talks to a lot of different audiences. One of the audience he speaks to are those people who believe in a sort of conspiratorial deep state that's conspiring against his efforts to reform Washington, and to do so for the benefit of the American people, particularly the American worker. That narrative will continue, and from what we know, Donald Trump himself sort of buys into that narrative and often consumes websites that proffer conspiratorial perspectives on reality without giving very hard and fast facts. So I think we're going to continue to see a lot of that kind of direct messaging to his voters. At the same time now, we have a much more functional administration in place. Many appointees have come in. Many of them are people who've got a lot of business experience. So I think we are going to start to also see a more normalized, administration in functioning sort of mode, and not just in campaign mode as it's been in the past.